Hello, subscribers. Alright, now that problem's fixed, last creepypasta reading, we did The Killer Kid. In this creepypasta reading, we are going to do Daddy's Little Angel. I decided to do this one because it sounded very interesting. But who knows, maybe it will suck, but I don't know. She has her mother's bright blue eyes. Daddy's little angel does. And the most beautiful smile you've ever seen. She could melt an iceberg, she could. Everyone that knows her just loves her to death. And I'm so proud to call myself her father. She's a gift from above. I know it, which is why I must protect her, no matter the cost. Some people just don't understand. It all started a couple of weeks ago. Some nasty little girl was teasing Katie, my little angel, and she just wouldn't leave her alone. She was saying nasty things, saying how poor she was and saying she was dirty and such. She had the filthiest mouth. Little girls shouldn't be so nasty. Well, she followed Katie home that day, throwing dirt at her and telling her to take a bath in it. That girl needs to be on quarantine. The nasty girl. Well, my Katie showed her what's what. Yes, she did. And Daddy couldn't be more proud. I don't think anyone should hurt a child, even if they don't mean it. Don't get me wrong, but Katie never did anything to anyone, and I love her to death. You gotta understand. I was only being a loving father when I hit the body. Ooh. You see, we live in a very rural area, and that nasty little girl clearly had no business following my Katie in the first place. But I know no one will understand, and I just can't let anything happen to my little angel. Of course, that's when my wife came home and saw that our little girl had a few bruises. Can you believe she actually glared at me as if I'd ever so much as think of hurting my little angel? Of course, I was upset, but the sweetheart that she is, Katie set her on track sure enough. She told her how the filthy girl harassed her and wouldn't leave her be. And I tell you, that lit my wife right up. She was so angry. I had to restrain her. She was going to call her parents and then and there. It was 9 in the evening. Well, I finally talked her down, even though she was furious with me that I hadn't handled it sooner. Of course, by then, she didn't trust me to settle it, no matter what I told her. I said I'd do it first thing after work the next day, but no. She insisted she'd call him herself the next day. Even Katie pleaded with her not to call her parents. She's so embarrassed at school to find out that she'd run home and told Mommy. Of course, we both knew that we couldn't explain that filthy girl had gone missing after their little scuffle. Ooh. Now, could we? I mean, she's my wife, and I loved her, but she just wouldn't understand. But she sent Katie straight up to bed and wouldn't hear another word from me on the matter. Her mind was made up, and she's a very headstrong woman. So there's no arguing with her once she's made up her mind on the matter. Well, after that, I went to tuck in the little angel and read her a bedtime story. She begged me not to let Mommy call the filthy girl's parents, but I told her how persistent Mommy is. Yes, she is very persistent, and that she wouldn't listen to me. Of course, that didn't sit well with Katie at all. She knew Mommy wouldn't understand, and neither would her schoolmate Mommy. No, no, especially not her. I told Katie I would think of something, and I promised that I wouldn't let anything happen to her. But Daddy's little angel is clever. Daddy's little angel, what's angel? Already had her mind set up. Made up. I can't read today. I should have understand. The next day, I came home to see my wife lying at the bottom of the stairs in a crumpled bloody. I cannot read today. In a crumpled bloody heap. Ooh. There was so much blood, and it had long since dried into the carpet when I got home. She had never made it to work that morning. The official story was that she had a nasty fall from the stairs and cracked her head open like an egg on its tumble. But as I looked into Katie's eyes, so empty, so emotionless. No, no, no! Daddy's little angel did not hurt anyone that didn't try to hurt her first. She's special. Anyhow, there was a funeral and the whole family showed up. Katie couldn't have been more bored. She just sat there and staring into nothingness as though something was giving. When it came time to view the corpse, she barely gave it a glance. I like to think that she's coping with the loss her own way. Daddy's little angel loved her mommy more than anything. It was just after the burial. It was just before the burial the next day that an investigator showed up at the house. It was Katie that answered as I was rushing to get ready. I rushed to the door as this man was questioning my little girl. Gently scooted Katie out of the way and stepped up to the door. "May I help you?" I asked, trying to sound polite. "What is wrong with my reading today?" "I need to ask you some questions about the circumstances of your wife's death," the investigator said. "Who are you?" I think some of my frustration was coming through, but it might have been my self-consciousness. "I'm sorry," he said with a laugh. "Detective Kimball, local PD. We just got the results back from the autopsy, and the blunt trauma your wife suffered and the blood stains found on the carpet don't exactly match up." Ooh. "I was wondering if you could give me a little more insight." Well, I'd love to, Detective," as I told the responding officer. But as I told the responding officers, I only found the body when I came home from work. I wasn't here to see it happen. The detective tried to... I'll skip that part. The detective said to speak again, I think, but I cut him off. Frustration was filling me. "If you excuse me, we have a burial to attend." I grabbed Katie's hands and walked her out the door, locking it behind me. I was glancing back to see the detective was watching me as we drove away. Katie was silent the entire trip there and back, and as soon as we got home, she retreated to her room. The poor baby has it so rough, all this death surrounding her. I shampooed the carpet the best I could to get the stains out, and fixed dinner up for us. "Why would you do that?" The blood is actually evidence that the police could have used, but I guess you can do that if you want to be accused of something. We ate in silence, and it filled me with pain to see her suffering. I'll never forget. Just before she got up to take her plate, the sink she looked at me and smiled so softly. Oh my! Smile, you... I do not want to buy freaking Bandicam! Oh, my little angel has the sweetest smile you did ever see. You ever did see. A couple days passed, and I thought things were getting back to normal. Well, as normal as they could be, without my beautiful wife to come home to when it happened. You see, I rush home each day to meet Katie as she's coming into school. But yesterday I was lost in thoughts and took my time getting home. You see, the day before, my wife's sister suggested that she come over and bring Katie's cousin to visit, and I couldn't refuse. So I had to get in the mindset. I had to show her we were coping. The house was quiet when I got there, but it wasn't so unusual that Daddy's little angel tends to keep herself and spends most of the time playing with her dollhouse. She's always so clean and always so quiet. I couldn't have asked for a better little girl. I walked up to check Katie's room, and it was empty. I then proceeded to check the rest of the house and found her nowhere until I came to the door leading up to the cellar. Odd, it was cracked. I pushed it open and started down the stairs. I could see the light spilling across the floor, illuminating a small puddle of blood from the bottom step. Just hand me the gun. I'll get you out of here, take you somewhere safe. I rushed down the stairs and found Katie standing a mere 2 feet away from Detective Kimball, who sat bound with a rope and bleeding from the head. I approached my daughter and eased the gun from her hands as the detective seemed to eye me with the most dreadful gaze anyone's ever given me in my life. I took the gun in my hands and I was surprised at how natural it felt, though I'd never held a gun in my life. The exhilaration that filled me as I lifted the gun and watched the detective's face contort in horror almost sickened me. "Why have you come?" I asked as I aimed the gun at his head. "Your wife's death was not an accident. I was here at work when it happened, and Katie was at school. It's been deemed an accident. What did you hope to find here?" The coroner stated that she died in the early morning, around the same time you left for work. I loved my wife. Unconsciously, I began to bring the hammer back. "If you kill me, the police will know where to look," Kimball pleaded. "There's no way out of this. Do the right thing. Do it for your little girl." If only if you understood. I put a bullet into his head. It's all I could do. Of course I knew he was right. I knew the cops would come soon, looking for him. I turned to my girl. She stood staring at Kimball vacantly, and I told her and I carved. Well, you can read this part. And I carved. My sister-in-law showed up that night. With her husband and kid, as she said she would. And dinner was ready by 8:30. I really think they loved it, my new recipe. I think they'll be back for more. Ooh. Ooh. Alright, so the dad turned out to be a serial killer. So he killed that little girl that was teasing Katie. He killed his wife, and he killed Detective Kimball. I actually thought that Katie. I actually thought that Katie killed them. That just proves how good of a story this is. I actually thought Katie killed them. But anyways, if you liked this creepypasta reading and think that I suck at reading creepypastas, then you can give a like in this district. You can give a like. Alright. So I will be reading one of these 3 creepypastas. And I will see you later. Ooh!